Hey, Josh, can you whip up a script for our sponsor, CB Distillery? Can you do that for me?
Yeah. When do you need it by?
I need it tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, yeah,
no
thanks.
problem.
Thanks. Okay.
Distillery. CB Distillery. 20% off.
I got it! Hey, yo, Gerald.
Yeah.
Got that idea for CB Distillery I was telling you about.
Cool, what is it?
Check it out.
I want my CBD, CBD, CBD. I want my CBD, CBD, CBD. I want my CBD, CBD. I want my distillery. I want my CB Distillery. I want my 20% off.
So, what'd you think?
That is genuinely terrible. How long did that take you to do?
All night. I spent all night on this. I was tossing and turning, working my butt off on this.
Okay, all night. Yeah. That's a swing and a miss, buddy. We're really gonna have to do something else here. That's terrible. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you sure?
Yeah. Go.
Okay. Well,
Give me something else. All right. I gotta have something.
Work on it. Do something better.
Yeah. CB Distillery, 20% off.
Really?
Visit cbdistillery.com today and use promo code Crowder for 20% off your purchase.
CB Distillery. 20% off.
Hey, stay tuned for a debate night live stream live. We will be live fact-checking all night. We have a drinking game that you can play along. Saving Democracy, drink, guys. We have a Nick DiPaolo YouTube dump artist.
Okay, and we all know YouTube. It's not me, it's YouTube. He has no idea who these people are.
Sir, these are all Republicans. The Democrats are on the left.
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true.
And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. He made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true. Will you shut up, man?
Listen.
It's time for tonight's 7+1.
Don't forget to run in the chamber.
Chris Christie will be hammocked back to tank number 2.
Don't ever use the word smart with me.
These debate streams, these are always fun, and by that I mean they're not, but we make them fun. Excited. Excited. It's going to be fun. I am excited. I am excited.
Okay.
It's a fun. No, I am. You know, every now and then you have a show that you just think, oh man, this is perfect. This is what I needed today. Let's bring up the rundown. Former Vice President Biden has spent a lot of money on an ad to tell you that Donald Trump is a convicted criminal who is just in this for himself. We are going to be comparing, actually, their crimes on the record, the crimes that are on the record, and what they have stood to gain from running for public office. Mm-hmm. You can comment below as to how you think that's going to go. KJP, as she is commonly known. She's not. Karine Jean-Pierre. She said that the videos of former Vice President Joe Biden going around, this was making the rounds last night, that they were cheap fakes, which is not to be confused with deep fakes. It's a different letter. It's one letter before a D, but...
and an H.
I believe it was George Orwell who said that they, something to the effect of, they will simply tell you that what you know is a lie. Mm-hmm. Someone can find that quote for me. This is where we are at this point. So what we're going to do is actually run some of these videos so you can believe your lying eyes and lying ears, and also combine that with all of the blatant lies that they have told you throughout the last 3 years. Things that you know, things that you see, things that are statistically observable, things that are irrefutable facts. Over which they've lied. Also, golden state of crime.
Oh, jeez.
Because Jon Stewart has said that city crime is actually the fault of GOP and gun laws.
Really?
And that's not actually the reason. So we'll talk about, before I do anything else, my back is sore. Okay, can you, Billy the Kid, can you give me a little more volume on my mic? I bet you this is going to be a good one. I'm going to crack my back, so I'm going to try and get this right up here. All right? Let's see. Did that register?
Heard it.
A little bit. I had one at least.
Let's see, I bet you got a shoulder. You can't hear. Okay. All right.
I heard something.
Sounded like grinding.
Yeah.
All right, let's do my ears next.
It's called being past 35. It's gravity, kids. It's coming for you. So if at any point today, I guarantee you will see this while watching on YouTube, head on over to Rumble. It's a live show weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. And let me ask you, the question of the day is, what do you think is the most egregious former Vice President Biden lie? There are so many. I don't want to spoil the outcome here because we have a lot. Number 2 in command, Captain Morgan. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
I mean, you cracked your back, so that should feel good.
I do. I feel a lot better.
People that can pop their neck, I am truly jealous of.
Oh, I can do that.
I actually heard that. I heard that.
It's not good for you.
It's
I
not.
don't know. Is it an old wives' tale that'll
thought it
make you
was.
worse? You'll get arthritis. Just like if you
It's
swim.
arthritis.
If you swim after eating. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
You're gonna die if you go in the shallow end after a cheese string.
after, yeah.
You will die.
Yeah, we lost 4 kids at my daughter's birthday party this weekend.
I know.
Yeah, wow.
I'm sorry.
I did feed them in the pool though, so
It's true.
Well, you didn't.
But I don't think that blame should be put on me.
It also didn't help that you were holding their head underwater
Yeah, well, that's what it's a game week.
with a pillow over them.
It's a pillow fight.
Who brings it's a pillow fight for their life. When you hear him and you hear this, you know who it is. You love him. He's going to be at Summit City Comedy Club in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Friday and Saturday, June 21st and 22nd. For all of his dates, you can follow him on the Instagram at Josh_Firestine. Josh, how are you?
Good. That's this week.
Yeah.
Gonna be in the Midwest. The golden goose of the United States, the Midwest.
Why do I say the date? Why don't I just say this week?
I think because you're reading or something, but
Well, because I have the dates
and
written
maybe
in
some
front of
people
me.
they don't know the date. They're like, I don't know, I only go by numbers.
Josh sounded surprised with that. That's why.
What?
He's like, oh, my boy.
He's like, this is sweet.
Yes.
Oh shoot, I gotta get a plane ticket.
Okay. All right. Well, that's on your own dime. So, I forgot to say, by the way, so we have very few sponsors. CB Distillery. This is one that actually I used their products after surgery.
Yeah.
There are only 2 CBD companies that I trust, and CB Distillery is the best one out there. And the only downside with CB Distillery, some people will tell you if you go search a review, they'll say, oh, it's more expensive than the competitors. That's true because everything is certified, third-party lab tested. You can go on their website, every single product, see exactly what's in there. The good news is that problem is fixed when you enter in the promo code Crowder, 20% off.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of science on their website. Don't let people fool you and tell you that it cures AIDS. It doesn't. Stop having unprotected sex with strangers in truck stalls, and that'll probably solve that problem.
Solves it, yeah,
but
pretty
things
much.
like inflammation, things like that, it does help.
Yeah.
So, all
There's
right.
a lot of people that sell junk out there, by the way.
It
There's
is.
a lot of people that just jump on the CBD bandwagon and say, this is going to help you with everything. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But it does help with some things.
Yes.
You know who helps? Who's a helping hand? Very large hand. We crack lobsters with these hands. Squad member Cori Bush.
Squad.
Yes, I think that's how they. How they assemble.
Squad.
So remember when they used to try and paint the religious right as the zealots and crazy and extremists? Well, Congresswoman Cori Bush can now add to her resume faith healer because she claimed that she can help cure cancer by touching. Well, no idea how she yet properly identifies the tumors, but by touching them.
At one point, you came across a woman with, quote, several visible tumors on her torso. Tell me what happened.
So at that time, I, along with a group of friends, we would go out on the street and just meet with people and pray with people and offer them food. And this lady came to us and she had these tumors. I mean, she wanted us to like feel them. And I just remember I rubbed my hand on her.
Does.
And
rub the nipple.
My hand just began to move. And the lumps that were there were no longer there. And she was so happy. And she
What about your lumps?
went on about her day. And I never saw her again.
So you think the tumors disappeared?
I do.
Well, look, hey, everyone, ye of little I for one believer, which is why I'm inviting her to this year's Snake.
Dump that.
I said a trans man. That's totally fine. How do you have to dump that?
Of course, the poor white woman interviewer cannot push back.
No.
Like, this is crazy. You think, first off, I'm supposed to believe that someone came up to you and asked you to touch her tumor?
Yeah.
And then you made them disappear? Who are you, racist Houdini? But instead, she's like, oh, wow.
That's amazing. She just went on her way and you can't prove any of this. Look, God can heal people. Fantastic. I didn't hear her mention that. Maybe she mentioned God before.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
she's
she
a
mentioned
voodoo
God
healer.
after.
She
I don't know.
is God.
I'm just saying.
God's a lady.
I'm just saying.
Haven't you heard Disney?
Oh, jeez. I just take these things with a grain of salt.
God's a lady with 4-inch nails.
Sorry. Yeah. You just sliced her torso open when you
Yes, exactly.
her stomach. Yeah.
She's basically a healer.
That
And
scene
also,
from Constantine where he reaches in and just rips them out.
I haven't seen that film.
Even if she did have divine power, she couldn't walk on water, dude.
No,
she
she
right to the
couldn't.
bottom.
Well, that being said,
Float on water, maybe.
Fat is more buoyant than muscle.
That's right. That's true.
She could be a life raft. She could be a life raft.
And I hope she's praying and doing the right stuff. It just seemed very weird.
Yeah. Well, no, she is. She's praying to Baal.
Oh,
so
bail.
That lady definitely died, by the way.
Yes.
I never saw her again.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't go to the funeral.
I assume she went and lived a very happy, fulfilling life.
Yeah.
Tumor-free. And she starts feeling the interviewer's breasts. Ooh, I can make these
disappear.
You want an A cup? I go A cup. So.
Oh, that's a genius plan. Go to just tell people that you're a healer.
Yeah.
Go out to the bars. Go, I think I see some tumors.
Yes, exactly.
Let me remove them for you.
Yeah. Except you wouldn't want to remove them because it's God's gift. Hey, what?
We have it if you want to see it.
What?
The healing?
Constantine. This is what happened.
Fine.
Better be quick. It's got to be quicker.
Looks like the
There's the
president
tumors.
talking to someone.
Cori Bush walks up.
No way! Oh, he's touching my tumors. I think they're shrinking.
Whoa, this is bogus.
I'm cancer free. I've never seen the film.
Hey, Bill loves that film.
I assume that's because there's horrible
Bill
taste in
loves
films.
that film.
Everyone's asking if Constantine's back.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Really, really
I
nice
like that
guy.
movie, though. I like that movie.
Hey, by the way, cultural appropriation is this Thursday. It's the last day this month because we're doing the mega live debate stream next week. And the country is Native America, which I know is not really a country, but you know what we're doing? We've run out of countries. Native American, so send your costumes, including your mug, to me on X. And you can use the hashtag LWC Native Contest. To appropriate is to appreciate. Okay.
Absolutely.
Biden, former Vice President Biden.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
He's just going to freeze.
He just released a new ad. Have you seen the ad? Of course you have. He spent like $5 billion running it. And
fact check false.
The general message is that Donald, and this is one thing that stood, everyone's going, this sucks. Okay. I want to actually look at what they're trying to claim here. That Donald Trump is a felon who is just looking out for himself. Now, of course, everyone has selfish motives. That's why I'm a conservative. I believe that if placed in a situation where you have to prioritize society or your family, of course you are going to fight for your family. People do that. That's their natural inclination. That's not lost on me. So everyone is a little bit selfish when push comes to shove. I get it. But the idea that Donald Trump is a criminal who stands more to gain personally than former Vice President Joe Biden, for me, is so far around the bend, I'm amazed that more people aren't talking about it. But here is the multi-billion-dollar ad.
We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots.
Oh, man.
Well,
he spent so much money on that one, too.
Yeah, that one. They could have got that for free.
Here's the other ad.
In the courtroom, we see Donald Trump for who he is. He's been convicted of 34 felonies, found liable for sexual assault, and he committed financial fraud. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's been working, lowering health care costs and making big corporations pay their fair share. This election is between a convicted criminal who's only out for himself and a president who's fighting for your family.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
First off, he chose to. It's not a bad mugshot, honestly. Like I would be happy with that mugshot. I mean, I know with a mugshot, you don't expect it. You expect to have a little bags in your eyes. There's no backlighting, but all things considered,
it's not bad.
It's not a bad mugshot.
Yeah,
kind of like a boss.
Yeah. Also, they said Joe Biden's fighting for your family. You can't have them, Joe.
No.
They're mine.
Yes.
I'll fight back, you old prick.
Yeah. Well, he fought his family in the shower.
Is that the No More
His daughter.
Tears shampoo I smell?
Yes. just call
Throw it
Daddy.
out.
Call Daddy Pert Plus.
Not a joke.
No more tears.
Herbal essences.
Stop the tears. Daddy doesn't like him. It's creepy. But so showering with your grown daughter. Okay. So let's go through the claims. First off, he didn't lower healthcare costs, and he hasn't made corporations pay their fair share. He's just made corporations leave. This has been the greatest single wealth transfer that has ever occurred in modern American history. The people in the top 1% of 1% of 1%, meaning people have multi-billion-dollar corporations, they are more successful than ever. You have the shrinking middle class. The left, of course, their base is super, super wealthy. That's why 98% of Silicon Valley votes Democrat. You don't find that anywhere else. And, of course, the poor who don't pay anything in federal income tax. That in between, reliably red. Did you guys know that? That in between, reliably red. 98% Palo Alto. We talked about that yesterday with Dr. Robert Epstein. If you didn't watch it, you could pick the most blue district of San Francisco. You would not find 98% Democrat.
Right.
That's by design. Let's be clear about that. That's by design. Okay, so is Donald Trump just out for himself? And does Biden fight for you? Well, let's look at the actions that they have taken. So the action that both of them have taken, running, for example, for president of the United States. The implication is that Donald Trump is doing it just for himself. What do they stand to gain? Well, Joe Biden, former Vice President Biden, he's been a career politician. He's been serving government since the 1970s. Okay, let's be clear. This man has not earned a dollar in the private sector in well over half a century.
Yes.
About half a century, this man has suckled at the public teat. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person, but it does mean that he requires that gain to make a living. He can't earn income anywhere else. And of course, there's the little overlooked fact that he used that position to enrich himself and his family. We have all references available at loudwithcrowder.com. The sources are, of course, are in the description. 2017, you remember this, the year after leaving the vice presidential office, Biden earned $11.1 million book sales speaking fees. He piggybacked off of public office to then making more money. Money that he had never made in his life. This is not a guy who could have gone out and sold a book. This is not a guy who anyone would have wanted to hear speak at a cocktail party, let alone at some kind of a business function. Hunter used his dad's influence to have these multi-million-dollar deals, right? Burisma, CEFC, China Energy. This is what Joe Biden has stood to and has repeatedly gained.
Well, it's not that bad. I mean, I've used my connections to get ahead, doing my screen tests and stuff like that.
Another screen test?
Yeah, I did another one.
Go.
Do you mind playing it?
Fine. Hi.
Hi, all right, so...
I'm Josh.
Awesome. But what's this?
I'm Dorothy, auditioning for Dorothy in the Twister sequel.
I think there's a disconnect. You're mixing up your Dorothys.
No, I read the original script, and I know for a fact that they brought Dorothy to all those tornadoes. They put her in the back of the truck and everything. Like, it was the whole point of the movie. Come on, guys.
That was the machine.
The machine?
Yeah.
You mean like Bert Kreischer?
No. The machine they used to send up the sensors into the tornado. Spin around.
Oh, I can do that.
Do what?
Spin around, watch.
Yeah. No, you're not getting it.
Oh, I'm getting it. I think I'm getting. I just. What do you want me to do?
Do you want to read for the part or not?
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Okay. Action.
Somewhere. Oh.
Okay.
Excellent.
Waiting for a callback.
Yeah.
Okay.
They said that email, but
yeah, no. Look, I think. So let's look
How about the
at
summer?
let's look at Donald Trump. What he stands to gain, or what he stood to gain. Joe Biden suckled to the government teat, personal enrichment. His family, of course, personally enriched. Donald Trump took a huge pay cut. You cannot say that he is a corrupt billionaire who is part of the 1%, and then say that the man stood to lose nothing running for president. took a massive pay cut. And by the way, the $400,000 salary, which is where, I don't know if you know this, the top marginal tax rates increased under Biden. Exactly the presidential salary. Why is nobody else ever talking about that? It's crazy to me. Donald Trump donated the entire presidential salary to charity. And he only received a paycheck of $1.
Yeah, he kept $1. By the way, don't forget, it's not just his wealth that he had, his popularity.
Yes.
Like, he was widely popular in all kind of walks of life. He was featured in rap songs and videos and doing parodies of himself on Saturday Night Live, like obviously The Apprentice. Everything that he touched was great. Nobody had really a whole lot of bad things to say about Donald Trump, or if they did, it was kind of minor stuff. Nobody paid much attention to it. The minute he starts to run, of course, he becomes public enemy number one.
And of course, his personal net worth decreased, depending on the numbers you use, anywhere from $1 billion to $2 billion. Let's call it $1.5 billion. So
hold on. Keep that graph up. You know what they really hate? You see that spike on the right? That's when I believe Truth Social went public.
Yes.
They're like, gosh, no!
Son of a crap.
Made $5 billion.
So that's one component. Donald Trump is out for himself. The other component is that Donald Trump is a criminal. All right. Let's look at this. Let's look at the crimes, really, of Donald Trump. You're talking about, when they say 34 felonies, you mean the felonies that you created. You're talking about falsifying business records, is what they claim, which no one can actually really point us to the actual crime committed here.
What a monster.
And by the way, 34 was because it was a check, and then it was a memo that talked about the check, and then it was a filing with their accountant, and then it was a doc. That's the 34 felonies.
Right. And then there's another crime that they said there's another big crime, but we were never actually allowed to know what that crime was. No. And the judge just allowed the jury to assume what the crime was. And of course, President Donald Trump was not allowed to bring in expert witnesses. The point is, these crimes can't really be named. They don't have precedent establishing these as actual crimes or felonies. And there were no victims involved. Let's contrast that with former Vice President Biden's crimes. This is a man who potentially, I have to say allegedly, because no one was actually investigated, was taking a 10% cut of Hunter's, remember his Chinese business dealings? That's 10% for the big guy. This is a guy who openly was withholding funding to get a Ukrainian prosecutor fired.
No, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Yes, you are that. Then you have plagiarism. A lot of people don't know this. Joe Biden, he's been running for president since the beginning of time.
but for our good.
For our
not
good.
For himself at all.
Yeah.
It wouldn't, that's, I mean,
in 1988.
there's a reason why he's doing it for so long.
Exactly. He's doing it for our gain, just
Dedicated
like taking a 10% cut from his son's business dealings, firing a Ukrainian prosecutor who may or may not have actually potentially held some people accountable that may be involved with those business dealings. We don't know. All of this, of course, is for you. That's the primary difference that you see. Even if you take the worst of Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels, if you believe it, okay, the idea that there was campaign funds perhaps being used at some point to pay somebody hush money, there still is no victim in that crime. You think Donald Trump couldn't pay that money? This is an accounting issue that, by the way, they still have no proof of having taken place. No victims and no personal gain with these crimes. Taking 10%? Personal gain. Withholding funding to get someone prosecuted who may actually not necessarily be politically expedient for you at that time. Personal gain. Plagiarism. In 1988, this was his first presidential campaign. He had to bow out in shame because he actually used other politicians' material word for word without attributing it. He also plagiarized his law school brief. He also claimed that he was valedictorian when he was in fact in the bottom 10 or 2, depending on who you ask.
I think the bottom one has since died.
Also, he showered with his daughter. Yeah. According to her diary, which has been authenticated, showers with my dad, probably not appropriate.
Believe all women.
Yes. Well, it's believe all women, not girls.
Except the president's daughter, of course.
You don't believe little girls.
Oh, my gosh. That's a loophole.
Little girls talk too much.
It's a loophole.
They need to close their mouth.
Like his granddaughter in Alabama that he's never seen.
Yeah, no, exactly. And this is this is the gaslighting that is taken. That's the theme of today. Everyone uses the term gaslighting now because everyone is an armchair psychologist. Everything is a red flag. Everything is gaslighting.
Yeah.
Everything is narcissism, right? Okay, in this case, this is actually what is taking place because this moves us on to the next story. By the way, hit the like button if you think that the cases against Trump are actually proof that the justice system is flawed and that former Vice President Joe Biden has faced no consequences for his crimes. So they want you to believe Joe Biden is a man of the people. He's doing this for you. He stands nothing to gain. Donald Trump is the one who, of course, is taking advantage of you. It's not like he has any other options. Just think of how silly that is. This is the same situation, the gaslighting that is taking place. Karine Jean-Pierre, yesterday, told reporters, with the question that seems like it was planted, that right-wing media is actually responsible for this perception that Joe Biden is perhaps going around the bend and doesn't know where he is and may be suffering from cognitive decline. She actually said, no. The reason he looks old and feeble, that's they used to say fake news. Now she said, these are cheap fakes. Here she is.
Same story, different versions, and all are true.
Well, that's not a cheap fake. That's a thrifty mock-up. That's a responsible discount parody.
That's a cheap calypso.
Yes.
It is.
I don't know about that.
Here's the real cheap fake.
There seems to be a sort of rash of videos that have been edited to make the president appear especially frail or mentally confused. I'm wondering if the White House is especially worried about the fact that this appears to be a pattern that we're seeing more often.
Yeah, and I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video.
We don't all call it that.
Bad faith.
The signer doesn't even buy it.
And some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these the right-wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation, disinformation.
Yes, the right-wing critics, doctors.
Yes.
And actual videos. But she actually thinks people are going to, this is right-wing critics. They have been found to be spreading false information. This man is fit as a fiddle. This is why they are going to lose this election. This is why if the election happened to be held today, Donald Trump would win in a landslide. Even people who don't like Donald Trump are not buying this. But don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. And also, don't believe your lying eyes and lying ears. All of this, Dr. Cheap Fakes.
I better not start the questions. I'll get in trouble.
That's AI.
We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots.
Deepfake.
The hair or the comment? It's like a video game character. Like my son playing Call of Duty. Yeah, getting wrangled by the Easter Bunny.
All right. God save the Queen, man.
Yes.
Boo. What?
She knows so long as she was 9.
Oh, this one's painful.
Now our great speaker, our partner who...
Gotta give it up to Chuck there.
He already shook his hand.
He can barely walk.
Man, cool parachute.
Love those things.
Oh, there's one over here.
What must be what?
The last one, I don't know.
I don't know about that one. That one's to be.
Now,
we got to get that. We got to get their fake guy.
Yeah, everything that you've think about. These are cheap fakes. If it was one incident, sure. And for example, if you pointed to, I don't know, a parody that we have done here, someone could say, well, yeah, that's not real. Of
course,
comedy.
Yeah.
But you know what? We talked about this. We talked about why they actually have a leg to stand on. She doesn't with the actual videos of the president that are uncut. She has no leg to stand on.
Right.
She has a leg to stand on because so many people on the right are chasing clicks, and so they have to make something into something it's not.
Right.
Like there's no chair there for Biden. There's absolutely a chair there. We talked about that.
Right.
This is the only reason that they can say that and not get completely bombarded. It should still happen.
It should still happen.
But the people on the right are shooting themselves in the foot for their own momentary like count.
Right.
And it sucks. And we're going to keep doing segments when people do that because I'm like, look, we just got to call people out on both sides.
Yeah. Well, it's like a game. The sides are playing Russian roulette, only every time they get it, they're fully loading the gun.
Yeah, exactly. And stuff like what we just showed gets buried because that's just part of the cheap fakes.
Right, that's part of the cheap fakes. That's part of the cheap, that's what they will say. And here's the thing, she tells you it's cheap fakes. This is not true. This is not true. Again, this is blatant lying. So when she is trying to accuse the right, and she's trying to accuse you of being a right-wing critic who is lying, again, she's trying to take the attention off herself in this administration, which is probably most famous for just that, lying.
We worked with Congress to get this done, to deal with the challenges at the border. President Trump got in the way, and because President Trump got in the way, Republicans are now getting in the way. When it comes to illegal migration, you've seen it come down by more than 90%. Vaccinations against COVID-19 remains the safest protection for avoiding hospitalization, long-term health outcomes, and death.
Let me remind you again, I reduced the federal deficit. All the talk about the deficit from my Republican friends, I love it. I've reduced it $350 billion. This continues to be a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Look, we knew the flight path of the balloon before it crossed the United States. That's something that I said from here. We took precautions in advance to ensure that it didn't get sensitive information. The president has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anybody else.
The agenda that's in these bills is what 81 million Americans voted for.
We do not politicize the Department of Justice.
More political opponents prosecuted, jailed, pursued of any modern president. Think about that for a second. And you know what else? I just realized something. Donald Trump, we've talked about this, has a really tough time apologizing.
Yeah.
They have a tougher time. Because it would be one thing if they said this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. If they said, you know, the vaccines, they don't allow you to, if you are vaccinated, you can't spread the virus. If he said, I actually have reduced the deficit. If you took all of those and they said, well, you know what? We were incorrect. Or just COVID. If they said, we did the best that we could with the information at the time and we were incorrect. Donald Trump has actually said that multiple times about COVID. We didn't know it was a novel virus at the time and we were doing the best that we could. He's actually kind of taken some accountability, which is tough for him to do, more so than this administration. Those are blatant lies. Please, honestly, they want you to believe that Donald Trump is a liar. Donald Trump can be a BS artist. He exaggerates. Genuinely. Comment below. Do you actually think that Biden is more honest than Donald Trump? I'm not both siding this thing. I don't even think it's close. We look at this, just put this all together. They want you to believe that former Vice President Joe Biden is a public servant with a spotless record, and that Donald Trump is the one, of course, who is out for personal gain, and he's a convicted felon. When you have Biden as a man who has profited off of your backs, the backs of the taxpayers, for over half a century, where Donald Trump gave up more than anyone ever in the history of this country to become president, whether you like him or not. He certainly sacrificed more as far as personal gain. And then you have an administration that wants you to believe that former Vice President Joe Biden is fit as a fiddle. He's doing fine. And the only reason that you believe otherwise is because of cheap fakes, because they are just like Honest Abe, who also, by the way, wasn't always honest either.
Yeah, he had some lies. He had some lies up those long sleeves.
He did have some lies up those long sleeves, but he wrestled you for them.
Yeah, he had so many lies that was in his hat. A long
yes,
hat. Lies
a very long hat.
Good president.
Anyway, there you go. We tied it all. It's just these two things together. Like, really? This is where we are?
I know.
Hey, left. You're losing.
Yes, and it's an alternate reality they're trying to create. I wanted to go back to the DOJ thing because they're like, hey, we're prosecuting people on both sides. The slap on the wrist Hunter Biden thing, it's literally a sacrificial lamb to make it look like they're doing something. And then you couple that with, well, we're prosecuting Menendez. Yes, he had gold bars with his name sent to him.
Yes.
Right? From a foreign adversary, essentially. Yes, he committed an obvious crime. These are not the same things. You're making up crimes for one person and going after him in ways that have never even been considered before. That's why when they call this a novel legal idea or concept on how to try Donald Trump, it's like, oh, novel. What does that mean? New. It's not something we do.
Yeah.
You can't just extend the statute of limitations on something that never happened with the E. Jean Carroll case. Like there is a significant difference. But every single person talking about this right now on the left is saying, no, we're prosecuting people on both sides. It's the same.
Right. What they do is what happens is it mounts to a degree that they have to offer a sacrificial lamb. So you have an Eric Swalwell, by the way, who is still a representative, was banging Chinese spies. No one is even arguing about it. I don't know, when we debate the idea of treason, some people taking a nice guided walking tour of the people's house, that's treason. A guy banging a foreign agent, and that's only the one we know about, so nothing happens there. Eventually they have to offer up a Menendez. When you see what happened with Barack Obama, when you see the corruption with Nancy Pelosi, when you see the corruption with Joe Biden, Hillary, what they do is they say, here's Anthony Weiner, because it's so undeniable. When you see what happens again, you go through former Vice President Joe Biden, you go what's been happening with this administration, you go through Fauci, they go, Hunter Biden for a gun crime. They give you one so you don't pay attention to everything else. If you actually think there's accountability, Eric Swalwell is still a representative of the American public. That's it. Let's move on. So, Jon Stewart. I think case in point.
He grew a beard.
I rest my case, Your Honor. Yes,
he did. Yes. Swalwell's like, what do I do? Grows a beard.
I ain't just for men.
I'm one of you.
So,
Groucho Marx mask.
He walked in a trench coat with another representative underneath him.
So funny.
One beer, please.
Yes. I'm not Eric Swalwell. I'm Edward Stallwell. So last night, Jon Stewart, and it makes me sad because Jon Stewart is very funny. I believe that he's very funny. But he has gotten to the point now where he is so misguided, it's indefensible as far as the positions that he is taking. We're going to get to the Empire State of Crime in a second, so you actually get to see why there has been rising crime in cities across the country. But I believe this was yesterday. It was just uploaded today. He conducted a segment debunking some of the myths that blue cities are dangerous or that they have seen rising crime rates. So in that segment, he also took it upon himself to blame the GOP for gun crime. Here's what he is presenting, to be clear. Crime is overall down in cities. All right, if you accept that. And the crime that did rise in cities, namely blue cities, is actually the fault of the GOP and their gun laws.
All of this, by the way, is not to say that gun crime does not exist. Of course it does. And some cities are worse than others. But here's the thing, and I say this with all due respect, the balls of these right-wing motherfuckers talking about how there's too much gun crime and chaos in our democratic cities, when Republicans are the ones who've enabled the flood of illegal weaponry into our cities in the first place. That's right. So don't get your little panties in a bunch. Here's something you want to know. 93% of the illegal guns used in crimes in New York City aren't from here. They, like theater majors, have come here to make a name for themselves. The guns come from states like Florida and Georgia and South Carolina, where the gun laws are lax. And trust me, Florida's not sending us their best guns. They're bringing guns for drugs and crime and rapists, and some, I assume, are good guns.
So, look, let me just disabuse you of this notion really quickly. It's really simple. If that's the problem, all those other places would see the same correlation as far as a rise in the crime rate. If the guns are coming from there, one would imagine it would be even worse all across Florida.
Yeah, surely Miami and Atlanta are.
It would be much worse than New York City. You wouldn't have people leaving New York City in droves or Los Angeles in droves. Barack Obama tried this bullshit back in the day where he said that actually the Chicago gun crime was coming from Indiana, and I went to that gun show to try out the gun show loophole. So it's really pretty simple. He says guns are coming from these places. Okay, how are they doing? But comment below if you'd like to actually see us debunk the entire segment. We just didn't have enough time today.
Can I comment now? Yes. I'm sorry, I don't want to lead the witness, but yes.
I thought you wanted to do the rebuttal right
Illegal weaponry?
Yeah. Right.
Please, let's do this.
Yes, okay. Well, you guys can comment below and hit the like button if you want us to do it. However, he doesn't tell the whole story. Doesn't paint the whole picture. And by that, I mean not at all. Because California, for example, has been known for having incredible crime, but they also have really bad traffic.
Oh, no.
And right now it's been worse than it even has been in recent years, which brings us to our latest installment of Golden State of Crime. So allow us first to whisk you away to the wonderful land of, hope you have your flak jacket, Oakland.
The land of oak.
The land of oaks. As far as the eyes
The
can
promised
see,
land of trees and...
where the people's resolve is strong as oak. Especially as it relates to thieves stealing traffic lights.
So Ardalin noticed it on his own while he was just driving through the intersection of East 12th Street and 16th Avenue in the San Antonio district. So he did some digging. And it turns out the city removed the traffic lights altogether and replaced them with four-way stop signs after dealing with months of people stealing copper and then tampering with an electrical box.
And as you can imagine, these thieves have caused some somewhat hazardous driving conditions.
Stay inside and lock all doors and windows. Miller Park no longer.
Luckily, they did catch one of the thieves red-handed, so that's good. Yep.
Come on! Mr. Rogers.
This is you don't realize this, though. The thieves in Oakland stealing stop signs. It's actually those thieves are being imported from Oklahoma, according to Jon Stewart. Yeah,
really?
It's an Oklahoma problem manifesting itself in Oakland. High crime in Oakland, by the way, has also halted some road repairs.
Frustrated neighbors in East Oakland after a contractor stopped repaving a street, claiming the neighborhood was too dangerous.
Yeah, so they just pulled out, and now that leaves the people who live there with roads that they say are
It's like
hazardous.
a dead body in the background.
The project manager, and I reached out to him on 5/28, and that's when he let me know that the project was suspended indefinitely because the contractor felt unsafe performing work in East Oakland and was not going to complete the project until the city of Oakland can guarantee a safe work environment for them.
It should be noted that the woman in question went on to say that I will get you, Batman.
The roads are all destroyed! Give me raw fish.
By the way, the road's never going to be repaired because the city of Oakland can guarantee the safety of no one in Oakland.
Ever. No.
So,
well, that's
screwed.
Honestly, the coastal cities of California, pretty much across the board. Let's go to Los Angeles, city of fallen angels, where the ocean meets the sand.
Fallen angels?
Not to be outdone by not to be confused with the lovable children's film Angels in the Outfield.
Oh, Nick Cage when he, was angels all stood on the beach. Do you remember that movie?
No, I don't. I don't remember Constantine either because I didn't see them.
City of Angels. There we go.
No, okay. So Los Angeles. So you have Oakland. Again, remember, this is the fault of red states, Josh.
Yes.
The red states.
That's what I agree.
They're getting these problems from Texas. In L.A., thieves were gutting copper and metal from the new 6th Street Bridge.
In Los Angeles, an eye-catching bridge that opened with fanfare and lit up the sky less than 2 years
Looks like
ago.
Harry
It cost
Nodder.
nearly $600 million, now sits in the dark and has Angelinos shaking their heads in dismay.
About 7 miles from end to end of copper wire that has been stolen. So these lights are becoming ATM machines.
Over the past year, thieves gradually stripped the lights, poles, and copper wiring that illuminate the bridge's arches. The metal is worth about $11,000, according to LA City Councilman Kevin De Leon.
What they're getting actually is pennies on the dollar. It costs taxpayers millions of dollars.
They're making pennies with the copper.
Oh, he needs to tell the criminals they need to run their profit margins.
The tax?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I think the criminals maybe would have a change of heart. You mean
Yes.
I'm costing the government and taxpayers money?
They're stealing the metal from a bridge that doesn't even go over a body of water.
Yeah, it's
just a bunch of hobos.
It goes over a neighborhood.
It does look pretty with the lights on, though.
It does.
It does look pretty.
It's not just some thief. It's some guy. It's like, I can't stand the lights in his house.
Exactly.
He's going to become the Unabomber if we're not careful.
This damn city.
I hear it.
And by the way, that councilman, you may remember Kevin De Leon.
Looks familiar.
He was the guy from this video 10 years ago.
This is a ghost gun.
Yeah.
Oh.
This right here has ability with a .30 caliber clip to disperse with 30
Watch the cop's
bullets
face.
within half a second. 30 magazine clip in half a second.
Seldom does somebody get everything wrong in a consecutive 2 phrases.
And the cop just let it happen. Straight face behind it.
Including the words used.
All of the words.
But I understand. The point is taken. You really have to watch out for those ghost guns.
Boo?
Shouldn't treat Christina Ricci that way.
Can't.
Where did that gun come from? I wonder. I
Probably
think that gun
came from
voted.
Indiana.
Oh.
Came from Indiana and was imported into Chicago.
And voted for Biden.
Let's go to San Francisco, the land of, they actually have a practical bridge, Golden Gate Bridge. Also a lot of AIDS.
Yes, on the bridge.
Yes,
in fact,
on the bridge. As a matter of fact,
it's a big problem. They shut down the bridge once because there was too much AIDS sex.
yeah, it was too much AIDS.
Yeah.
I don't think that Simply Green gets it out. So,
the gay bay. That's what they were calling it.
San Francisco, the city, is now really known more for its sideshows, more accurately referred to as street takeovers.
What a great culture.
Looks like Demolition Man.
Now that just looks that just looks fun, but it can sometimes turn into a deadly pastime.
Hey, thought you could leave without saying goodbye.
Fast and Furious actor Paul Walker died from a combination of traumatic injuries and burns.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing. If it existed,
if I die in a fiery car crash, please make fun of me.
Hold on. No.
Especially if I make 6 movies about it. Please make fun of me, okay?
He's on the way down.
Remember me. Put me in an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile and make fun of me, please.
Yes. If Tobey Maguire died by a radioactive spider.
You're like, I get it.
You're like, come on. Can't tie your hands on everything.
Danny DeVito dies of eating raw fish.
Yes, exactly. If Christian Bale gets throat cancer from talking like this,
It's been long enough. It's
Schwarzenegger
fine.
dies from his pregnancy. Please.
Okay. Here's the thing. If it existed in a vacuum, they want you, and this is an easy trick that they will try and pull. They will try and point you to one example and say, see, that's not true, or that's a lie, therefore everything is a lie. So there might be one deep fake of Biden out there that some right-wing clickbait artist used. So everything is fake. It's all cheap fakes, right? There might be a handful of guns that have come in from states that aren't New York State or aren't California or, for example, Illinois, namely Chicago. I don't want to destroy the reputation or really honestly sully the reputation of everyone else in Illinois. It's just Chicago. We get it.
Yep.
They screwed up. Okay, they want you to believe that it exists in this kind of vacuum. So these are just, look at these. Therefore, it's a problem with GOP gun laws. Therefore, it's a problem with misinformation. And we need to fix that. And the government needs to collude with big tech. Let me ask you this, though. Has the left ever gotten it right? If you take a city that's a leftist city that seems to be working right now, just add time. Just add a little bit of time. Detroit, wealthiest city in the country. Only a few years later, worst city in the country. San Francisco, right? It was safe. It was wonderful. It was clean because they sent all of the people they didn't want to Oakland. Now, they're both bad. New York City, the city that never sleeps. Well, now it's in a fentanyl overdose coma. Just give it a little bit of time. Have they ever gotten it right? And is it a matter of policy? Well, California, the cops. I don't know if you know this, but their crime has seen a steady increase since, of course, they've implemented the no policing strategy. I'm using this as a broad term. 2023, the California Highway Patrol had 1,000 less patrolmen than they needed. California law now allows DACA recipients to serve as officers. There may be a conflict of interest there. And the state senator Nancy Skinner called citizenship requirements for officers archaic. So when the rhetoric is defund the police, when the rhetoric is the police are racist, but then you combine it with the rhetoric of you don't need and you don't have the right to own a firearm, just call the police. I don't know if you know this, but at a certain point, the criminals say, are they serious? Really? They're basically telling us to do this. And this has been this week's Golden State of Crime. us. We're actually making good time today.
I know. We did a good job. You know what I guess just thinking about all the guns. So all the guns are down in these states. Let's just say that it's not true, really. But let's just assume that every single piece of that is true. So it seems as though New York would have like a surplus of criminals then that look for the gun. The operative part of that equation, someone to actually fire the weapon. And you're not focusing on the fact that you have a bunch of criminals seeking weapons to fire in your jurisdiction.
Right.
Chicago, same thing. If you blame Indiana, it's like, at what point do you just take some responsibility and go, yeah, we screwed up. Yeah, these are bad policies. We've kind of let these things get out of control. I used to fly into San Francisco all the time, back from 2008 all the way forward, probably once every year or two. And it just steadily got worse and worse and worse. And by the way, the place they showed that stop sign had been removed, I've been on that highway there. That's the place you go about 90 miles an hour to make sure that nothing happens.
Stop signs are more of a guideline.
Absolutely. That is, it's like these places are beautiful. And then they become destroyed by liberal policies.
Well, there are two parts to this equation. Let's say, okay, guns. All right, so even if you believe that the guns are just as big of a portion of this equation as criminality, okay, both states have guns. You're saying that a red state has a bunch of firearms because they have red state laws on firearms and those are coming into your country, all right? Coming into your state. Which, let's be honest here, California is its own country. It bears nothing in common with the rest of the United States.
China-ish.
Same thing with New York City. Someone who has been born and raised in New York City does not know how the rest of Americans live. But okay, one part of the equation, the guns. But crime is worse where you are. So the second part of that equation would be the place from where the guns are coming. What do they do? Oh, they actually punish crime. So at the very least, you could control one portion of that equation. I don't know if you know this. No one can control the flow of illegal weapons, whether it's state to state or crossing our southern border. Seems like you might want to get on closing that. At least for the time being, perhaps the discrepancy that we see, if these guns are in fact coming from red states, which has not actually been proven. I'm sure some of them do. How about you enforce crime laws? The reason California is worse, the reason places like New York are worse than, say, Florida or Texas, is because there aren't consequences for committing crime. So even if you want, this is proof positive they are not looking out for you. They don't want to solve that problem. If people believe that New York is only awful, it's only the hellscape that it truly is because of guns coming in from out of state, they wouldn't be implementing catch and release. They wouldn't be implementing no cash bail. You wouldn't see a rate of people committing dozens of violent felonies before they face any type of consequences. If these people actually believe they have a problem of illegal guns coming in from another state, then they would at least do something to try and keep you safe because, oh my gosh, there's a problem. So many guns are coming in from whatever, Indiana, Oklahoma, Ohio, take your pick. But they're not even enforcing the laws, which is the rate limiting factor. It's that final rate limiting factor before you get robbed, raped, or killed. They're not doing anything for you. That's why it's getting worse. And that's why here we at least try and offer some solutions. We have a big hidden camera and investigative piece tomorrow from Mug Club Undercover, actually. Stay tuned for that.
It's huge.
We're still crossing our T's, dotting our I's. I warn you, it's disturbing, but it's necessary. And sometimes the conspiracy is more expansive than you necessarily thought. So please do consider supporting louderwithcreditor.com/mugclub. Not only do you get this show, you get a full extra hour of show. You get Nick DePaul every day. You get Alex Jones on Fridays. You get, you get the whole thing. And of course, there is none of this without your support because I don't know if you know this, we've been demonetized for a whole length of time.
I keep counting the dollars we don't get.
Yes. Yes. It's very difficult.
When I want to cry in my office.
So it's $89 annual. You can go mugless for $9 a month. And Josh, where are you going to be?
This weekend, I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana at Summit City Comedy Club. And
do you have all the dates on your website?
I do. Josh, jfirestine.com and then Josh_Firestine on social medias. I got a link tree there. It's got all the links there.
Okay.
Come see his show. It's only $15. Come on.
What?
Josh, be careful. That's Indiana. Apparently, there's a lot of guns there.
Apparently, there are a lot of guns.
Looking for a criminal.
Oh, boy. I better be scared.
Right? It's like guns are demons, and they take people over and make them shoot people.
No, they're not demons. They're ghosts. There's a difference. Not to be confused with ghouls, which are not to be confused with goblins. Know your folklore. Also, we're going to be playing Hipster Hobo, which is a lot of fun on Mug Club. We promised you that yesterday. We couldn't because Dr. Robert Epstein went long, and I thought we needed to keep that there. So if you're watching on Rumble, click right here. Take your chat, play Hipster or Hobo. We cannot play that ever on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, piss off now.